Hi, it's been a while. I have been enjoying my break from discussion videos, but it's about time I get my shit together. I think I felt overwhelmed planning a month's worth of content for a single video, so I want to try something different. I want to release discussion videos as sync pairs come out. That would be on a weekly basis. I think I can handle that, so let's see how far I can take it. Before getting started though, I want to address the 4-5 and 5-5 grid controversy. A few people have asked about my take on it. So my take is that it sucks. It's bereft of reason. There is no way a sensible person can spin this as a good thing. DNA is saying you need more resources for a complete experience. Resources you didn't need before. And that's exploitative. 3-5 grids were enough for a complete experience. So what's changed? So far, 4-5 and 5-5 grids give nice bonuses that improve the unit, but aren't fundamental to their success. What people fear is that DNA will transition into giving 4-5 and 5-5 grids potent passives that render the rest of the kit pointless. To me, that's a slippery slope. First of all, content is easy enough, you can clear everything with free-to-play units. Pokémon Masters has prospered on its accessibility, and I doubt DNA will jeopardize that. It wouldn't be a good business move. DNA also has an okay track record with these things. I have been playing since day one, and so far, DNA hasn't done something unforgivable. They backpedal from the prestige event, the stamina system eliminated grinding. Broadly speaking, it was a positive change. With big decisions like this, DNA doesn't change their mind. They know exactly what they are doing. So, as a player, the best thing you can do is leaving in-game feedback. But I think this came as a huge shock to most of the player base, because we have closed our eyes to what Pokémon Masters is. When you downloaded Pokémon Masters, you agreed to being subjected to predatory business practices. Gacha games thrive on human weakness. And there is nothing that angers me more than corporate greed. I have seen it firsthand. I have worked for multinationals and they are ruthless. So that's why my content has such a heavy emphasis on free-to-play content. Doing budget clears with 1-5 units, doing mission clears with free-to-play units, because it's my way of sticking it to DNA. Trust me when I say this, this is the first and only gacha game I have ever played, and I only play it because it's Pokemon and I enjoy the characters. I did not spend a cent on this game until my channel started picking up. I made the conscious free choice of using some of my disposable income to support content for my channel. Otherwise though, I heavily oppose the gacha business model, and supporting it just incentivizes companies to keep practicing it. For me personally, 4-5 and 5-5 grids are unsustainable. I just don't have the resources for it. I could barely keep up when DNA released one Pokéfair per month. But now there are 4 limited units per month with Master Fairs sprinkled here and there. And now you also want me to invest 5-5 grids into a singular unit? Nah, buddy, I have my limits. My take is, there is not a single company in this planet that deserves your money. When you use money, it's because you get something you value in return. 4-5 and 5-5 grids don't have enough value for me, so I'll just pretend they aren't there. Alright then, here we have Signals with Wally and Gardevoir, a fairy-type Pokéfair tech. Also known as a pure cinnamon roll and skipping mod is Protege. Wally is our first fairy zone setter. To me, the nature of his kit is reminiscent of Anniversary Skyla, sort of. As a fairy enabler, Wally is top-notch. Fairy types have complex conditionals. Wally provides proper roll compression for them in addition to the Fairy Zone boost. Not only that, DNA is introducing a fresh mechanic with Single Suit Wally, and that's rebuffs. A rebuff makes a target more vulnerable to a specific type. Rebuffs are stackable up to 3 times. One rebuff is a 30% increase in damage, 2 rebuffs are a 50% increase, and 3 rebuffs are a 60% increase. However, rebuffs are multiplicative, so they deal more damage in practice. Wally can apply 1 Fairy rebuff. In a count of Fairy Zone, Wally is a 95% asteroid for Fairy type damage, and that's ignoring all the other amenities Wally's kid brings to the table. So, why does Wally remind me of Anniversary Skyla? He's stuck with Disarming Voice, and his body move doesn't fare much better for its convoluted conditional. In practice, Wally is more of a utility plus nuke tech. I have some other issues with Wally, but for now, let's check what we're presented with. Wally is a Mega Evolving Sync pair. Entry passives are big for him. Gardevoir's stat spread is impressive, short of a more compelling adjective. Great Bulk, the highest special attack stat at the current, even higher than 6-star EX Signatus Arena, but 600 special attack is not enough to save a 50 base power move. For reference, look at the Boxy and Vidril. They have 520 attack at 5 stars or some such. But this means Wally's Sync is obscenely strong, even with the Mega Evolution base power nerf. Wally's body move is Beat Dazzling Gleam. It has 120 base power, it's a spread, and it has 1 use. It drops attack and special attack by 4 stages, and it applies 1 Fairy rebuff. This effect is aggressive. When you reach Beat Dazzling Gleam, the party snowballs because it activates several multipliers. But the issue is getting there. Beat Dazzling Gleam activates with an ally is Mega Evolution. Wally doesn't have to Mega Evolve to access his body move. You can calmly have a Dianta Mega Evolve for some cheap damage and use a Beat Dazzling Gleam post-sync. You can also pair Wally with Sinasuit Brendan or Sinasuit Blue for a 6-star EX support buff and still access it. Beat Dazzling Gleam has flexibility, but its activation is one of my greatest gripes with Wally. Wally's try move buffs plus 2 special attack, plus 1 special defense, and plus 1 crit. These days, taking multiple turns to non-maximize your offense looks incompetent, but you can bring offensive support to alleviate Wally's burden. Wally's tech multiplier is Fairy Zone based. As for passives, Wally has Head Start 1 for ramping, and upon Mega Evolving, Head Start 1 turns into Head Start 2. Note Head Start 1 counts as an entry passive, but it's limited to only 1 activation. The same way Anniversary May is Dismay is different from Discourage and doesn't apply twice. Wally cannot transfer the first Head Start into the second for a full ramp. Wally needs Adrenaline 1 as a lucky skill to achieve that. The allure of Sync Acceleration is very tempting here, but Fairy types are not renowned for this department. There is Dianta who has Head Start 1 on her 3-5 grid, so if you pick a Head Start 1 on Wally is a 4-5 grid, they can ramp. Head Start 1 Singasu de Lesa is also perfect for Wally. They achieve a full ramp on entry, and with Adrenaline 1 Wally, you can use Singasu de Lesa's trainer move to reach second sync turn 3 without any RNG. Another notable partner is Head Start 1 Singasu Brendan. Also, if you were to give Wally Head Start 1 as a lucky skill, he can full ramp by virtue of stacking Head Start 1 tries. The idea with Head Start is facilitating Wally's body move activation. Beat Dazzling Gleam is normally stunted until first sync, but Wally has ramping tools to get there sooner and improve the efficiency of his clears. Besides that, Wally has Go Smack 4. It enables AoE confusion with Disarming Voice. Thanks to this, Wally can anchor several multipliers for Bid and Summer Marnie, and Wally himself has passives derived from interferences. Team Speedy Entry 2 buffs +2 speed for a party upon entry. Great news for the Antha. Valentine Serena also loves the free turns she would have to spend buffing inertia otherwise. Wally promises utility and he delivers. And by the way, 1-5 Wally suffices to clear very weak stages. Disarming Voice is weak, but it's backed by Fairy Zone, the Fairy rebuff, and near 600 special attack. My criticisms stem from how Wally achieves said utility. I should clarify what optimal gameplay in Pokémon Masters looks like to me. That will hopefully explain why I am not head over heels about Wally when he appears to be the kind of unit I adore playing. To me, optimal clears finish stages First Sync. By First Sync, the stage should be deleted, and this game has gone through enough power creep to let you do that with a mileage of lineups. If that's untenable, Second Sync is your next target. Most free-to-play lineups can do that, but that's a byproduct of the quality of your tools. Be Dazzling Gleam forces Wally to play for Second Sync nearly all the time. Fortunately, his ramping tools have the leverage to play for Second Sync more efficiently than most units. My issue with Wally is that his kit demands patience. Wally's most potent utility is locked behind Beat Dazzling Gleam's activation. Once you hit the Fairy rebuff, the party gets out of hand. But Beat Dazzling Gleam is a post-sync perk. And again, to me, stages should be dead by first sync. By that token, you can spin that argument and say, oh, on-type Dianta can clear very weak stages with just a Fairy Zone. You don't have to sit tight for Beat Dazzling Gleam's debuffs. But then you are not using Wally's kit to its fullest. He will be indistinguishable from another Fairy Zone setter. And Wally's Striker applications suffer from the same illness. His buffing cycle is slow. At a minimum, you need a Torchic to patch Wally's offense. And 3-5 Wally nukes with Interference Sync and Devastation. Gobsmack 4 is a coin flick proc for Interference Sync, while Devastation has to wait for Beat Dazzling Gleam, so Wally needs Viola or Getsis to support his first nuke. Wally can perform efficient on-type clears with Beat. Beat debuffs special attack, special defense, and has Gobsmack 4 of his own to mitigate RNG. If you bring an offensive support, perhaps Propulsion Custom Lily, Wally can delete center First Sync, then Beat can delete a side with Gmax Smite, and Beat Dazzling Gleam is enough for the helpless side that remains. That would meet my criteria for optimal clears, but Wally needs a fair bit of support to accomplish that. He doesn't have the pedigree of self-sufficiency and offensive pressure that's expected of his zone peers, such as Lucas or Fall Iris. Just to be clear, there isn't a correct way of playing in Pokémon Masters. Hey, you want to play safer? Go for it. I routinely clear 2K Master Mode with Sync Nuke Marley. It's just when you filter Wally through the lens of optimal gameplay, say 4K Master Mode or of Rion Extreme Battles, the pinnacle of what you can achieve in this game, Wally is serviceable but not outstanding. As per usual for zone setters, I'll do an overview for what Wally does for the archetype. Fairy types can off-type much more easily now. Special thanks go to Wally's Fairy rebuff. Valerie, Summer Lyra, Anniversary Lily, Lycia, and OG Gloria are less memey now. The biggest winner of Wally is Diantha. She's been begging for Fairy Zone for what feels like ages. Wally can enable -2 Devastation with Discourage too. But with some smart ramping, Wally can enable a post-sync Devastation nuke to devastating levels, if you will. That's a free off-type clear in 2K Master Mode. Mina is weak even under Fairy Zone, but she appreciates Be Dazzling Gleam. Charm is not efficient at enabling power posture, so with Wally's help, Mina can focus more time on using Play Rough rather than Charm. Palantine Serena loves Wally's Team Speedy entry too. Wally lets her run overpowered DPS realistically. Also know that Palantine Serena has Propulsion 2 for her trainer move, which can enable a head start to Wally. Summer Marnie is a big Wally beneficiary as well. Besides the obvious devastation and Fairy Zone roll compression, she can take advantage of Wally's Gobsmack to activate Fall Fighting 3. Bide is a near perfect partner for Wally, but 1-5 Wally can enable 3-5 Bide instead. He appreciates Wally's Gobsmack to spare energy from greeting Gobsmack himself. As for cute synergies, when I say cute, I mean synergies beyond the scope of fairy types. OG Karen loves Wally's toolkit. He can enable Overpower and Fall Fighting 5. Remember, Karen's own Mega Evolution activates Beat Dazzling Gleam, so it's something fun to consider if you lack Sinusoid Cyrus. Then there is the other Devastation and Pecking Order users, people like Champion Iris, Alder, Anniversary N, Anniversary May, Custom Rosa. For such instances, I would recommend bringing a Mega Evolving 6-star EX support to unlock Beat Dazzling Gleam. Otherwise, Wally has to pull off some Sync Acceleration miracles to make up for hoarding Fierce Sync to activate his body move. So, 1-5 Wally has Train Move Point Refresh 2 to maximize special attack and crit. I think that's too slow when Wally plays for Sync Acceleration and Fairy Zone in his rotation. Really, there are a couple ways of playing Wally. Either he plays as an enabler, so you can ignore his offense, or your support has to anchor for both Wally and his partner is demands. Most fairy types require some measure of offensive support, so you don't have to go out of your way to help Wally, but it's something to keep in mind. Also, Wally doesn't majorly benefit from Critical Strike 2 as a lucky skill. Depending on lineup, you should consider Grand Entry 2 or Sharp Entry 1 instead. Wally also has Sharp Entry 1 on his 3-5 grid. Remember, entry passives proc again upon Mega Evolution, so Wally can improve his self-sufficiency that way. The 2-5 grid has Disarming Voice multipliers, 100% with Win Super Duper Effective 5 and Fall Fighting 5. Juicy, but fixing a 47 base power move is a tall order. Pretty good for on-type though. Trainer move Ramp Up 1 helps with self-sufficiency. Wally gains some passives to improve gauge with Team Speedy Entry 1 and Quick Tempo. Team Speedy Entry 1 stacks with Wally's own Team Speedy Entry 2, so he can maximize speed for the party upon Mega Evolution. That's wonderful. Wally certainly fires up gauge. Quick Tempo doesn't activate upon Mega Evolution though, as Fall Kaelin thought us. Then there is Fairy Zone passives. Whimsical Acceleration 2 is for Brrr gauge. Dianta is particularly demanding in that regard. Whimsical Stability is very handy for Gauntlet, prevents debuffs under Fairy Zone. Gobsmack 2 gives Wally an additional 30% roll of proccing Confusion when he attacks. If you desperately need Wally to activate Confusion early, it's worth considering. The 3-5 grid unlocks Wally's Nook with Interference Sync 5 and Devastation. That's not terribly difficult to handle. Viola, Vid, and Anniversary Skyla give compression for both. Wally also gains Discourage 2 for -2 special attack prior to activating Beat Dazzling Gleam. Overpower plays off special attack debuffs to improve Wally's DPS. Mind Boggler 9 lets Wally spread special defense debuffs once he procs Gobsmack. Not on the Confusion turn though, unlike Anniversary Raihan's Mind Boggler Fire Spin. I suppose it's an interaction from Gobsmack being an added effect. Lastly, Wally gains Status Immunity. insanely helpful for Cresselia Legendary Arena. Wally lacks recovery tools, but if you give him some regeneration support, he tanks special damage like a champ. As for the controversial notes, 4-5 grants Head Start 1. That, coupled with Wally's innate Head Start 1, enables ramping with an auxiliary source, from Head Start 1 Dianta for example. But if you were to give Wally Head Start 1 as a lucky skill, he can perform a full ramp at the start of a match. This Combobulated 9 lets Wally debuff accuracy when he attacks. This turns Wally into the most consistent accuracy debuffer at current. Sinazulusamin and Ingo can debuff accuracy AoE by more stages, but it's tied to RNG. Accuracy debuffs aren't too helpful because most Centermons have a Mind's Eye 5 to mitigate misses. More so, you use accuracy debuffs to activate multipliers, much like speed debuffs. Some notable synergies include Hide and Seek Sinazulusamin, who also plays for ramping, and Devastation plus Obscuring Sync Summer N. Both of them appreciate Wally's Mind Boggler debuffs. 5-5 Wally has Fairy Wish Brain Gain 9. That's one special move next stack for the party when Wally uses Fairy Wish. It's quite powerful, especially with the Sinasuit Brendan. Refer to any of my Sinasuit Chris videos to understand the implications. But if you don't focus on stacking a special move next, Mind Boggler has a better long-term value. Lastly, we have Fairy Zone Extension 3. It works like a Drought Alert 5 for Sun, but given the lower notation, the duration is not nearly as massive. Generally speaking, Striker Wally is complicated. You go full Wally Nuke or you don't. 3-5 Wally can run a simple grid with the Team Speedy Entry 1 and Whimsical Acceleration to improve gauge. The Enta doesn't need Wally's DPS to handle stages, so he can focus on debuffing special defense with Mind Boggler instead. At full investment, Fairy Wish Brain Gain 9 is excellent for special strikers. Wally himself can chunk with Beat Dazzling Gleam with enough special move next stacks. If Wally has to assist DPS, you can run full Disarming Voice multipliers. After Beat Dazzling Gleam, the damage is surprisingly competent. Now, if you want to include Wally's Nuke or Head Start 1, things get really muddy. It depends entirely on lineup. It's harder to enable Devastation pre-Beat Dazzling Gleam, but it can be done. Full Nuke Wally wants Viola or Bead as third. Discourage 2 helps stack special attack debuffs sooner, and you probably want Disarming Voice Super Duper Effective 5. If you are nuking with Wally, he is your main striker. And then there is the ramping applications. If Wally has to activate Beat Dazzling Gleam through his own Mega Evolution, you can play for a -2 Devastation nuke just to get some value out of it. But realistically, your striker will hard carry the second nuke. Another game plan is nuking with Wally twice, when aided by an auxiliary ramper, such as Sinazulesa. Wally is really good, but Disarming Voice is low base power and Beat Dazzling Gleam is complex activation, hold Wally back from being a top tier tech. Wally's kit is just janky. Alright then, we're done with Wally. So let's see if I can keep up the pace and release the Galar people for this weekend. Thank you for watching, take care, and I hope to see you another time.